Hello, everybody. Welcome. Once again, we are going to receive someone very special, someone that knows a lot about Melodifestivalen, Gustav Dahlander. Is this pronunciation perfect? Is this pronunciation
Oh,
on point?
yeah, it's basically perfect. Very, very well done. It's great to be here.
Good. Welcome again. First of all, there were quite a lot of changes in Melodifestivalen this year. We are announcing the artists that qualified to the final, like the winner of the semifinal. We announce it right away, so it's quite a change. Like the last time that SVT did that was back in 2010, right?
Yeah, 2011 actually.
Yeah,
It was both 2010 and 11.
yeah. It started in 2010, then they did it again in 2011, then they changed it again to
Exactly.
announce the two finalists like in random order. But anyway, so how do you feel about this change? Do you think that it changed the dynamics of the show? Do you think it's more exciting? Now we also see the voting, so it's quite different. So how do you feel about that?
I'm working for SVT, so I shouldn't bash anything completely because it
Of
would be
course.
disloyal to my
Mm.
partner there. But fortunately, I don't have to. I think it's nice. Some people had a problem with that. It's revealing in terms of what we could expect for the final. Uh, if you have four entries winning a heat, you could have a lot of things already revealed when the final comes. That's why these things have been a bit hidden previously. But I don't think that's too big of a problem, actually. I haven't looked at the statistics, actually, but I'm going to do
Mhm.
it. But we did once have an entry from the second chance winning the final in Robin
Exactly.
Stjernberg in 2013. So we can even have someone from the what we now call semi-final heat winning the final,
Mhm.
and then we should logically we would be able to have someone who finished number two in their heat winning the final. That's a smaller step. So it could probably be mixed up a little bit more than we expect there. Also, we were counting votes for the number one in the heats, and
Mhm.
it's points for the rest of them, which is what we're going to count in the final too. I think it's in about 80% of the cases we would have the same entry uh, which received the most number of votes would also win if we're counting points. But in
Mhm.
20% of the cases, it would be some the other way around. So we don't even know that the four winners are the four winners in that sense. Um, but having that said, obviously it's most likely that we will see one of these four coming out as the winner.
Mm. Yeah, I think after all, I don't think that revealing the results before it's going to change the outcome because like the people know who they voted for. Like they know like who are their favorites. It's not like they're going to change their minds just because they see the results. I know I don't think that that's how it works in Sweden or any other countries. I think people like they do like the song or they do not like the song and they're going to vote based on that. And I think
Mm.
that one interesting thing about this specific format is that instead of revealing the top five, like everybody goes to the second round of voting. So it's much more exciting because it can go either way. Like it's quite different from like for example in 2010 and 2011 they revealed the top five and then they revealed the winner of the first round of voting and then everybody would go on to the second round of voting. So I think it's much more exciting right now because everybody goes and we never know what can happen.
Yeah, it's only the winning songs in terms of votes that doesn't go to the second round, and we don't eliminate those in the bottom either. And that was deliberate from SVT that we wanted to keep these entries in the running a bit longer because they have rehearsed for almost 6 months and prepared, and to just have them in the contest for like. 50 minutes or something, and then you're gone, you're last. It seemed we would like to give them a bit more attention than that. So it's nice in that way, and it's also nice in the way that they can see that, well, I finished last, but the kids really liked me, or something like that.
Exactly.
So you can
Exactly.
be, yeah, because you have so many votes and so many, all these people who cares about these entries, and they get to know it's not just in some PDF that we release after the season.
Mm. Yeah, this is interesting because, like, for example, when I was noticing that Tenori, they did not get a lot of points from the kids, but they received 10 points from people that were over 60, and that was very interesting because when we were analyzing that song, Mateus is one of the people here, one of the bloggers here of our channel, and he said, I think that old people are going to like this song. I think it's
Mhm.
very nice. It has something that like this group of people, this public is going to enjoy, and they did. And this is nice because they're going home saying, okay, this is my public. This is the kind of people that are going to enjoy my music. And if these people do not like, that's okay. But at least I have a group of people that are good, that enjoy it, my work, and they were
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good in
exactly.
my opinion too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So there are a couple of reasons why they decided to do that, but this was one of them. But it's also like Melodifestivalen was always about these points, and that was like an iconic part of Melodifestivalen until 2002, when we started having the heats and couldn't have the points in the same way, or decided not to have it, I guess, back then. But now we have it. For me as a fan, I'm delighted to see these. I want to have the 12 points in every show.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. It was a shame that they could not do that in the very first semifinal, but it's still like the way it was announced. It was still very entertaining because it could be Robin. It could, like, in the end, it could have been Robin, Omar. It could have been Shirley. It could have been anyone. It was still very entertaining. Uh, I've got some comments here. Vera, Arisa, she's saying hi.
Hello.
Claudia is also saying hi. Tiago is saying hello. Rafael is saying hello, Lorena. I'm not sure who is it does he mean. I think someone else. My
Not
favorite
me.
hold me. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not Lorena either.
Um,
So my favorite hold me closer. I need Tony in the final. I like that. That review was good. That
mm,
review was pretty good.
it's,
So
I think Tone is one of the favorites to go through from the semifinal. It seems that Tone Sekelius has this kind of momentum now with My Way. Everyone are talking about it, and it received a lot of attention in a positive way. So some people regard that to be the front runner for the second chance, but
hmm,
well, we don't even call it a second chance anymore. But it would be hard to get rid of that phrase. Um, but yeah, it would be an exciting weekend. And as for the final, Hold Me Closer is certainly one of the favorites to win.
hmm, hmm. Mm. Yeah, I think that Sweden. I think that the most interesting part of Melodifestivalen this year for me is something that we talked about the last time we were having a discussion about, like, uh, do you believe that the songs that are present in Melodifestivalen, they are close to the music chart in Sweden? And I told you that I do believe that the charts in Sweden, they tend to have more songs in Swedish. And it's interesting because the songs in Swedish are having a lot of success on the charts.
Mm.
Even though they do, like, for example, Nielo and Lisa Ajax, they did not qualify, but they are having a lot of success because
Yeah.
there's something interesting in that song. Like, it's very it's very Swedish pop in a way. It's something that I can see doing well in the charts. I can see like um, a normal Swedish artist singing it, like outside of the Eurovision bubble. So I'm excited that they are doing so well. I also like to mention Tails, that is also doing quite well in the charts. You
Mm,
tweeted about Tails doing well in the charts too.
mm,
And yeah, I think that we are having a good moment for songs in Swedish in Melodifestivalen. I was very sad Lancelot did not qualify. It was just a beautiful song,
oh.
marvelous performance. I was so disappointed. But yeah, I think that we are having very good songs in Swedish this year. How do you feel about that, having these songs in Swedish and see how well they are doing the charts?
Yeah, they're still not doing that well in Melodifestivalen though, which is it's somewhat of an anomaly when it comes to the Swedish music, because as you say, the songs in Swedish are very successful in the charts, but the people listening to the music in the charts are not necessarily the same as the people watching Melodifestivalen. Melodifestivalen is much wider. The charts are for people who are into music, and Melodifestivalen is for everyone. So in that term, the charts are the music bubble, and Melodifestivalen is the big reality of the true taste of the wide general public, even the ones who are not a lot into music. I would say, in one sense. Um, but also the charts, they do have. I think it comes from the hip hop scene a little bit in Sweden, where there are a lot of artists performing in Swedish, and the lyrics are in focus and so on. And then there's a lot of crossover from hip hop into pop, where it's hard to say, is this a hip hop song or a pop song? And it's still in Swedish. While Melodifestivalen, hip hop wasn't very successful at any point. There was we haven't had a hip hop era in Melodifestivalen
Hmm.
or in Eurovision. Maybe it's just not the type of music that fits for the format, or we just haven't found the right formula yet for it. Um, and that could be a reason for this discrepancy, that we have hip hop in one place but not the other, or we have a Swedish certainly. I mean Swedish in the as the front runners and the charts, but not in Melodifestivalen. But what you said there with Lisa Ajax and Niello was very interesting. Tror du att jag bryr mig was the title of the song, and I think maybe the staging didn't do it justice, because
Maybe.
they were very playful in the way that it looked on stage, and it was very colorful. And maybe some people felt that it was too childish for them to vote. And we do have the age groups in Melodifestivalen. So maybe we could see that. I believe it got points, a lot of points from the lowest age group, but then it didn't have a lot of points. And the melody, it's close to a well-known children's chant for teasing someone, which is na 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 na. You can hear that in the chorus, which is also a bit childish. So when it was a childish chorus and a childish staging, it was perceived as mostly for the children. And then people maybe started listening to the song and discovered that it was just a great pop song. And maybe that could explain the big difference that we're seeing there, because that was the most successful song on Swedish Spotify from Melodifestivalen until we released the songs that were already qualified for the final.
Hmm. Indeed. But like, if I like it, the childish feeling on it. It was very playful. I did like it. I can totally understand you, and I think that some people just thought, oh, this is not for Eurovision. It's just for me to enjoy it at home or something like that. Because I do believe that some people just vote, oh, this is for Eurovision. This is not for Eurovision, instead of, oh, I like this or I do not like this. But I do understand that, as if it's a bit too childish, some people are going to, oh, no, it's not that good. There are other better options. And it's a competition after all, right?
Mm.
So, what do you think about the overall results? Are you, because like some people were saying that, like some old school fans were expecting, for example, Samira Manners to be this Mary Lindbergh. She would have like the Mary Lindbergh
Yeah.
moment from the 2007 from 2007, but it did not happen. She unfortunately did not qualify neither to the semifinal nor to the final. So, what do you think about the results? Are we getting the results that we expect, or are we getting many surprises? How are you feeling? about it.
Mhm. Before I answer that, I would just like to ask, is my sound volume all right for you?
I
Because
think
I
it's
have
fine. Yeah.
a new microphone here. So if you guys have any problem with the sound, I do have a volume that I can turn up or down. So just let me know. But when it comes to the results we've seen this year, well, it's hard to say that we had only the veterans, because we had Faith Kakembo, who comes across as a debutante to most people because they don't remember her from 2 years ago when she took
Mm,
part.
mm,
Cornelia Jacobs certainly counts as a debutante. It's a new act already in the first heat that people felt that they could discover. And now she's one of the favorites to win the final. Um, and But we also have these veterans. Well, what we can say about the result this year is that this far it has been quite somber, or a bit somber. Like they vote for balance, and songs where it's not a lot of party time in these songs, like John Lundvik, Liamo, Cornelia Jacobs, Faith Kakembo. These songs were all like low energy songs in different ways. But then we got Medina and Clara Hammarström in the fourth heat, making it straight to the final. And with this, we are starting to get a good mix of songs for the final. Maybe some more up tempo from the semi-final, and we will be good to go. But it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint any particular trend. We have two songs in Swedish in the final, which is normal. Sometimes we have less. We could have Theos, for example, making it to the final, and for there would be three songs in Swedish. Well, it's a little bit more than the average, but it's not a huge difference. Um, some people feel that it's not the strongest year, but it's not the weakest year either. So it's very interesting for me to hear your take on it as well.
Oh, really? So I think that we're having a decent edition. It's not like the best ever for sure. I think that we had better editions, like 2014 was very good, 2017 was very good. But after all, that's how I feel national selection should be. You need four great songs. Like you need four great songs, and you have like 10 to listen to on the radio, to put on your playlist, to listen while you are like in the gym, or like in the car or something like that. You don't need 32 winners, you don't need 20 winners. You need a couple of winners, and then you're going to choose among the songs. That's my opinion on every national selection. Like if you have a national selection that's too strong, you're just wasting a lot of songs. And this is something that I think that Christopher Bjorkman, he talked about that, because he organized it in a way that it was not too strong. And some songs he asked the artists to take part in the next year. And I think this is very smart. This is an amazing strategy. I
Mhm.
think we have a couple of very interesting songs this year. I think that for of course I'm crazy about Cornelia. We had the opportunity to interview her, and she has this bubbly personality, and she's like a ray of light. She's super nice. I did love her song. I did like Omar, and it seems that Luisa also likes Omar. She thinks he was rubbed. The sound is perfect.
Yeah, he was
Manuel
number
say,
one on iTunes in Brazil, wasn't he?
Was he
Yeah, I saw that he was number one for one day or something after the heat with
really?
moving like that. Yeah, on the iTunes list. So I don't know how many people are buying downloads via iTunes. He also was number one in some like the Solomon Islands or something, and I was like, can we really have a list for this? It's like 50,000 people, but his fans were very attentive to the international success of that song. But he didn't have a lot of success on the charts in Sweden at all with
Mm,
the song,
mm,
unfortunately. So it's
mm,
very clear that people didn't like it enough in Sweden for sending it to the final or even to the semifinal. Um, a lot of people were surprised that he didn't have a stronger song, because he is obviously extremely talented performer. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know what happened behind the scenes there and why they chose this song over other possible songs. But for me, I believe that it came down to the song there, because he's really good.
I did like it. Like I really like it. I think it was a very good song. I actually like all his Melodifestivalen entries. I like the one that he sang in Swedish like a couple of years ago, and I also like when he took part as the F and O,
Yeah,
right? The band.
Fo and O, yeah,
Fo and O.
got a thing
Fo
about
and O.
you, and
I
the
like that
Swedish
one.
song, yeah, yeah, me too. I especially like that one actually. It's this boy band '90s sound that I like it. The other one was Om igen, was in Swedish and Spanish, and now it was English and some Spanish. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that he will eventually come back, and I do believe that he has a big chance to represent Sweden one day. I think it's just that like sometimes you're just not like it won't just push the right buttons when it comes to the audience. So it has things like that happen. But I do believe that you guys are having a good edition. I was a bit disappointed with the rock songs actually. I
Mm.
was a
Well,
bit disappointed. I
uh,
wanted I don't know. I think I wanted more from them. I don't know. I just not because I did like when I saw, especially the girl bands. I think they were very nice. I saw, oh, they look good. The performance is very nice, but I did not buy the song because I usually buy songs
mm,
on iTunes. I'm old school. I did not
mm,
buy the song, and I was asking myself, okay, I did like it, but why I didn't buy it? And that's probably one of the reasons why people did not vote for it because they did like it, but they did not love it enough to
mm.
vote and give their. They have 5 votes, right? Per.
Yeah, actually, they have 10 votes in the app now, and then they can vote. I think it's like 20 times with the cell phone number or
Hmm.
the telephone
Okay.
number.
Hmm.
So this is to course to give people the chance to engage throughout the show. It was one of the differences from last year, that you had just 5 votes in the app, and then you used them in the first round, and then you couldn't engage in the second round. But now uh, they get 5 more votes for the second round. Yeah. But yeah, as you say, that what's important for a national selection, I think it's good to add that you need to have people. Everyone should love one of the songs and really care about at least one of the songs. Then you're successful, because then people are going to watch, and they're going to engage and everything for that one song. And if they love a lot of songs, great, then they are fans. But they need to love one song, or at least they need to
Hmm.
care. Like if they dislike one song, that could work too. But we want them to watch.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay, so I also would like to ask about some people are saying here, Anders is my favorite, Anders budget. Some people
Hmm.
said Cornelia already. No, but I have the biggest artistic crush on Cornelia, me too. When she was talking about the writing process of the song with Isa Molin, who is also an artist that I love.
Hmm.
Hold Me Close is my winner of Melodifestivalen at Eurovision. And the rest of her music is just great. I have to agree. That's Omar's song,
Hmm.
right? I will not try to pronounce it. Was the best attempt and should have gone through back then. I agree with Male. So, how do you feel about this? Like it seems that we have like 3 or 4 favorites at this point, but after the semifinal we can have another favorite. Do you believe that it's going to be a big, like it's going to be quite unpredictable? Because at this point I think there's a 3 horse race, but it can be a 4 horse race or even a 5 horse race. It's quite unpredictable this year actually.
For me, I believe that we don't have a potential winner in the semifinal. Um,
Mm.
if I'm looking at the entries and comparing to the front runners in the final, it's hard for me to see that
Mm,
any of these would actually be able to win. So I'm ruling that out to a certain extent, I have to say. If you're looking in the odds right now, but it is an interesting race. I agree with that. If we're looking in the odds, we can see that Cornelia Jacobs is uh, with a big lead. She has like a 46% chance of winning in the compound odds. Um, and then we have Anders Bagge and Klara Hammarström basically as the other possible contenders, with Liamo also being mentioned. And then we look in the streaming in Spotify, which is the biggest Swedish chart, Spotify Sweden Top 50.
mm,
And then we can see that Klara Hammarström is number one by far now.
mm,
If I'm looking today, she has like a gap, 183,000 streams the last 24 hours compared to Medina, 160,000. And the others are
mm,
below that, with Cornelia, 115,000 on sixth place. And she's steady
mm.
on sixth place, which is a bit lower than I expected. She's not without a chance of winning
For
with
sure.
this result. We had, I believe, Benjamin Ingrosso with Dance You Off wasn't number one or even close to number one.
Mm,
Anders Bagge is number four. So if we're comparing Klara Hammarström and Cornelia Jacobs in the odds, Cornelia is up here and Klara is down here. But in the streaming, it's the other way around, and maybe the odds haven't really reacted to this yet. But that Klara Hammarström seems to be a little stronger than a lot of people have supposed. So
mm,
yeah, it's exciting, and we have Anders Bagge there, and you can talk about that for ages too.
mm. Indeed, because the thing is, as people think that Clara is strong, or Cornelia is strong. In the end, we are, they need to have like some balance among the voting. So it's if the people that are over 60 hate Clara, she might lose it. And if the kids hate Anders or they hate Cornelia, they might lose it too. So I
Mm.
think that the odds, in my opinion, I think that the odds are thinking about the balance, and they are also thinking about how the international juries are going to vote.
Mm.
Because I do believe that that's my opinion, okay, guys? That's my point, my prediction. Okay, I think that the two songs in the final that are the most international jury friendly are Liamu and Cornelia. I do think that they are going to vote between those two. That's
Mm.
how I feel. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
the juries tend to vote for good vocalists a lot.
Mm,
That's a really clear-cut trend that we've had. Um, and with Anders Bagge, it's a little bit, he's not an artist, and you can see that he's not an artist. He is a songwriter and producer. But he's also a good vocalist. So will they pick up that he's not an artist, or will they pick up that he's a good vocalist? Um, I don't think he will get a lot of jury points actually, but who knows?
mm,
It's not. I don't think it's completely decided, but I think the juries will keep him down a bit, so it will be very hard for him to win, even though he might be very popular um, in the popular vote. Klara Hammarström, I think people really like the song. It's a really likable song with wide appeal, and she stands out. But her performance in the show wasn't the best. I think she did better with Beat of Broken Hearts last year, and she will have to improve there a bit. But now she's had a chance to practice. It's kind of difficult with all these texts. You can hear that she have to, and she's working on that to catch her breath in a way that works. Yeah, you can really turn this around in several ways, but I would say that Cornelia Jacobs is the favorite to win. Liamo is number 12 in the streaming charts, and he's far down in the odds list too. And I
mm,
can understand this. There isn't that much buzz about him, even though he's very talented and certainly could
mm.
win Melodifestivalen one time.
The
I
staging is
don't.
also good.
Yeah, it's a really good staging, but not that dynamical, so it doesn't happen
Mm,
a lot. But it looks really good.
mm,
We don't have these amazing stagings this year because I think the record companies are out of money after the pandemic, and that's one of the reasons. So it's just the SVT money and some small additions from the record companies. For example, Clara Hammarström, she has these spectacular clothes because her brother is making spectacular clothes. And Tone Sekelius, she also has this spectacular clothes, but she paid for half of it herself. So uh, yeah, I think that says something. Maybe we can have the big stage shows back in a few years, but right now it's a bit more minimalistic in a certain sense.
mm. Yeah, I think that actually Tony, I gave her that dress. That dress is actually mine, and I gave her. She's going to give me back to me.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, really?
that
That's a
dress.
story. Is it really?
Yeah, I gave her that dress, and
Really?
she's going to send back to Brazil so I can use it because it belongs to me.
The
I'm just
black one?
joking. The black one, the black one. That dress is beautiful. Don't you think it's beautiful? I think it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, sure.
beautiful. It's hell of a dress.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not a bad idea. Maybe if the fans help the performers a bit, we can have the big stage shows again.
Indeed, indeed,
I
indeed.
have a dress. Do you want it? Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Let's just see. Okay, so Natalia, she's saying Anders probably will win the televote. Personally, I don't like this song, but the Swedish love bigger than universe. My faves are Cornelia and Tony. Let me tell you something. I did not see the heart changing colors too much in Anders while he was performing. I think the
Mm,
heart was more for people that were over 40. I think this
mm,
the last four categories, I think they were voting for him, but I think the kids are not going to engage that much.
mm. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting point. I haven't analyzed the heart for Anders at least. But that the colors wasn't changing would mean that there weren't a change in engagement in the other
Hmm.
groups because the color of the heart shows which group is going up the most at the moment.
Okay.
So even though if you have a group that's it's far down, they hate it, but certainly they start to like something, and then it goes up sharply. So it's not this number seven
I
anymore.
see.
Then you can see that group changing the color of the heart. So yeah, so it doesn't show which group is the number one for the song at the moment. You can just see if something happens in the song. So maybe that you didn't see these colors means that these groups didn't react a lot and were just yeah, okay, something like that.
Indeed. Okay, so I don't think young people will like Hold Me Closer. I think they will. I think they will. I think they might prefer Clara or maybe even Anders, but maybe top three for Cornelia. I think it's quite possible.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. She's not that old herself, and the songwriters isn't old either. It's yeah, relatively young songwriters. So maybe it's like the people below 20 might not jump on that song, but the others. I think she stands a good chance with the others. She did won the televotes because the app was gone and it was just a raw number of votes that she won. And what we know from that is that it's at least a guess that we have that the younger groups are more intense when it comes to voting, so they cast more votes. They can't vote that much when it's a televote because they have to pay, and some of them are too young to pay. But if we're talking teenagers, they have their own cell phones and can call, obviously, and vote. So that she did so well in the raw number of votes, it's something good for her when it comes to the younger age demographies, I would say.
Hmm, indeed. Indeed. Loreen was robbed in 2017, so I'm ready for everything. People need to get over the statements. Statements will never heal. The
Yeah, yeah,
statement scar will never heal.
yeah, it's a trauma, and I think it's a trauma for the Swedish entertainment industry, perhaps, because after that we haven't seen a lot of big names taking part in Melodifestivalen.
Indeed.
So I think that this is just my impression and my guess, and that to say that if that didn't even make it to the final, something with this kind of artistic integrity and quality, then why should I take my artistic integrity to this stage? Because people apparently doesn't appreciate it. It's a children's show now, or a pop show for young people or something. So yeah, maybe we need a big result for a very arty act that could change this trend.
Hmm. Indeed, because like for example, 2017 was the last year that I think was very good. Like 2018 was nice. 2019, I think that there was never a really bad Melody Festival. I think the last one that I think was bad it was 2011. I
Mhm.
did I did not like any of those songs basically.
Oh, really?
Like I do have some guilty pleasures from that year,
Mhm.
but I don't love those songs.
Yeah, the general idea in Sweden is that 2013 was a terrible year, the
Hmm.
weakest year, and certainly the final, because it was after Euphoria, and everyone were watching Melodifestivalen. We had the highest viewing figures, but the songs, it felt like the songwriters were unsure about which direction to take after Euphoria. They were getting inspired by this song, but didn't really know what to do with it, and he was a bit confused. Yeah, we were lacking something in 2013.
Hmm. Let me tell you something. One of my favorite Melody Festival songs ever is from 2013, and it's a song that people don't really care about.
Ah.
It's "Hello Goodbye" from Eric
Mhm.
and Tony.
Oh, really? That was surprising. That is really interesting.
Yeah, and it's a song that like there is something that's interesting about Eurovision is that for us here in Brazil, like the perspective of music, it's quite different. And like I'm an English teacher, so sometimes I use songs from Eurovision with my students and stuff. And Hello Goodbye was a huge success among my students back then.
Mhm.
They loved that song. And I showed them the winner, and they said, "Oh, this song is not good." And I showed them other songs like Begging, which is a very, uh, um, it's quite young. And said, "No, no, this is not good. Hello Goodbye is a great song." And another song that they really love is a song that came last in Eurovision, which was Ghost, Germany
Mhm.
2016. It's a song
Mhm.
that I heard this song playing in the shopping mall here in Brazil, and when I played the song and work with my students, they love the song. So I think
Mhm.
that there's this difference between like these two continents because we tend to like some songs that like from people in Sweden they just ignore, and that's probably why Omar was first in the Brazilian iTunes and did not
Mhm.
chart well in Sweden.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there is some melancholy to both Ghosts and
Hello,
Hello
goodbye.
Goodbye. And I don't know about Omar's song, but it's not that much in your face. Perhaps it's more of a you can relax and be a bit more laid back to that song. So
Indeed,
yeah, interesting.
indeed.
Maybe
We
it
have,
reflects something.
yeah, probably, probably. So, how big of a role do you think the fact that Clara performed less has an impact compared to performing in the first and second half? This is a difficult question, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it's to be ignored because the Clara was compared to the first. Yeah, the question is regarding the heats.
Mm,
To be in the last heat means that you have some kind of momentum going
mm,
forward. While if you have your song in the first heat and then people kind of forget it and then it's released, then they have already heard it long before, and then it's released. So it's like yesterday's news, I think. This is not something that the music editors who has a lot of influence believe in very much, but it's my impression that it's a little bit yesterday's news with these songs from the first heats. It doesn't mean that they can't win, but it's a little bit of a resistance for them that they have to overcome. While if you're in the last heat and make it to the final, then you're released as a fresh song. Clara was released now. She's went straight into number one, and she is still number one, even though we're well into the week of the semifinal. And the same goes sometimes for the songs that are from the last heat and makes it to the semifinal or Andra chansen. Then they are in Andra chansen and go to the final, and then they are 3 weeks in a row, and that can be really effective too, at least for the attention that they get. It's a huge PR window for these songs, so it does have some effect. So we shouldn't ignore it completely when it comes to the final results. And for example, Clara compared to Cornelia. Cornelia maybe has to overcome this, but she has still some time to do that. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see, because I think that when it comes to people are really saying about the views, like on YouTube. Oh, Clara is having a lot of views on YouTube, but there is only one video of Clara performing on YouTube. While Cornelia, she has a lot of videos, and people have been watching this for weeks.
Ah, that's interesting.
So it's different. It's totally different.
Mm.
Maybe kids wouldn't like it as much as other songs, but I feel like starting at 15 or something, Cornelia should not score too low. Yeah, I think that she's going to do well. I believe she's going to do well, and I think that it would be a very interesting song. This question actually, Gustav, it was not among the topics that I sent to you, but I think it's going to be something interesting to discuss about Cornelia's song. It's related to the Ukrainian situation right now. And
Mm.
someone posted a very interesting comment on YouTube. I just saw that. And it kind of feels that this song has a different meaning based on the moment. Kind of like Fai Rumore back in 2020, because after the pandemic, the song got a totally different meaning. Do you think that people from Sweden might be willing to vote for Cornelia because they connect the song to the current situation in Ukraine now, for example?
Um, it's a very interesting topic because the Putin's war in Ukraine is really it's traumatic to people in
Mhm.
Sweden. People are so affected by it, myself included,
Mhm.
because we feel that this is rather close and it's completely outrageous
Exactly.
that someone would do that, that Putin did. So people are like scared and very emotional. And when Melodifestivalen started the last week, they had this short message from the hosts that now we're going to try to create a breathing space amid all this horror. And we are going to donate money to Ukraine, people in Ukraine and people in adjacent countries who are helping people fleeing from Ukraine. And we donated more money than we donated for 14 years in a heat. That was the most since 2008. And I made sure to vote myself just to donate money on the expensive phone number. But we still saw that we had two kind of party songs that made it through to the final. You could think that if people are depressed, will they vote for depressing songs, or will they vote for something that will cheer them up? When we saw Medina and Clara Hammarström making it to the final, and it's like people maybe wanted some party time after all. They wanted this breathing space and wanted to escapism and forget something about what happens. So maybe it's not good for Cornelia in that way, that people would maybe want party instead. But we don't know. Maybe they will make some interpretation, and it will ring true to what people feel, and maybe it will be good for her. For Medina, it was interesting because they had a very dark performance. It was a little bit military inspired too in the first
Mm,
rehearsal, which was before
mm,
they knew what was going on, or it had just started to happen the same day. And then they changed this because all the other stage shows were also dark, so they changed it to more bright and orange colors. And orange is the color of the Ukrainian revolution, the peaceful revolution in 2004, I believe it was, which was, it could be interpreted as just a color to make it more colorful, or some nod to this. And we also have, it's a party song, but it's in, what do you call it? It's in the dark type of tone. I don't know the word in English for it. It's not
mm,
the merry tonality, it has the darker tonality. And with this thing that has happened in Ukraine and this color, and this sober type of melody, it turned into a very interesting type of song that also could maybe be referenced to the political situation. That people felt like it's a party song, but it's also something that rings true for the present situation. Because also the lyrics are like, we're gonna go
mm.
into the mists, we're gonna party like there is no tomorrow, and the subtext is that maybe there is no tomorrow, so we better party. So it's like it's apocalyptic feeling, like the Ukrainian song in Eurovision. They had this music video that was from a post-apocalyptic landscape, and still they have a song that caused a party. It was the same feeling a little bit, but not as strong for Medina. So it's a very interesting topic with the political situation.
Mm. Yeah, it's actually quite nice because we can, music is so abstract that we can understand it through different point of view. So like we never know. There's a question here that many people ask. They're saying that why is it so difficult two women qualify direct to the final? I think it's not just in Sweden, to be honest. I think in Italy, people are have been discussing that why there are more men than women in Sanremo, and why usually the man wins. So, like, what do you think?
It's a big question, but a brief answer would be that young women have a tendency to vote for young men, but young men doesn't have a tendency to vote for young women to the
Oh
same
yeah.
extent. Um, but some people are saying that this might be on its way to change, that young women are voting for other young women more these days. Uh, I am observing sometimes that women are jealous of women that goes on stage too, and that this is a psychology that happens. Who does she think that she is, or something like this, while they would vote for men in a similar stage presentation without hesitating. So there's a lot of different like cultural and psychological things at play here. In Melodifestivalen, we did see that the female artists were successful, more successful than the male artists in terms of winning, at least I think, or in terms of positions in the final, in 15 years ago, from 2002 to 2010 or something like that. But then it changed, and before that it had changed in Swedish Idol too, and they had this problem already before this in Swedish Idol, where a lot of young girls are watching. That it was mostly the men who were successful. Um, but maybe as it started to change back again a little bit in Melodifestivalen, it's always what do you call it? It's a trend that comes and goes. And now we could see 2 years ago that Anna Bergendahl and Dotter made it through from the same heat. So finally we got that because we didn't have two female acts qualifying straight to the finals since 2009, Heat 4 2009. But we did have the year before that too. We had Malou Prytz and the duet with Hanna Ferm and Liamo. So that's we got closer there. That was the closest we had got since 2009, and then we got it, finally we got it in 2020. So maybe we are starting to head in the more balanced direction
Mm,
again these
mm,
days.
mm,
I am somewhat optimistic when it comes to
mm,
this.
mm.
And
Yeah,
we
I
also
think.
I should just say we also need to have the strong entries for female performers. Some female performers are a bit like passive in the performance, while the men would be powerful and dance and do a lot of stuff. The female performers might bring a beautiful dress and just stand there with some choreography. And you really need to be noticed in Melodifestivalen. And Clara Hammarström has understood this because she's standing there and just moving a little bit, but she has these clothes that makes her stand out. It's not just a beautiful dress, it's more than that.
Mm. In 2017 too, I think in the last semifinal there was John Henrik and Aminia and Victoria.
Oh yeah, good point. So we
Mm,
had a similar situation as in 2019 there.
mm. Yeah, like in my opinion, I think that it's just the moment. I think that Melodifestivalen is alive, right? So every living creature changes all the time. So the structure of the competition is going to change with political situations, with social situations, with music. It's going to change with time, with technology. It's going to change with time. And I do believe that back when I started watching Melody Festivaling, women were much more powerful back then, right? Carola, Lena Philipson, Sanna Nielsen, Nani Gronwall. We have many examples of big Swedish stars that were always doing well on Melody Festival. And so
Mm.
I think that it's just the moment. Like this is the moment that we are living, and maybe it's going to change. It probably is going to change in the future, right? And
Mm.
I'm as optimistic as you are.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right there. In 2000 to 2010, what was driving the audience to watch Melodifestivalen and the most iconic acts were these Schlager divas. Charlotte Perrelli, Carola, Lena Philipsson, especially those three, but others like Nanne that you mentioned. So there was a trend, but then it was kind of dying down with the Schlager music, and something else came, like pop. And yeah, we just have to wait and see what comes next.
Mm. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that Schlager would do well in Eurovision, like a real Schlager song, like the one Lena Benting performed this year?
No, I don't think so. Not a real Schlager song. It's a matter of definition, of course. Like we had Sergei Lazarev from Russia in
Yeah,
2016. His song, it was to us, it comes across as a
it's
Schlager
Schlager.
song. If it would be in
Really.
Melodifestivalen, it's a Schlager song. And it did very well in Eurovision. So you need to tweak it the right way and have the right artist and the right stage show. Then you could do really, really well. But if it's a bit old-fashioned Schlager, like to us, uh, yeah, Linda Bengtzing has something to do with the more old-fashioned Schlager, then it would be very, very difficult, I think. Like Denmark, that's a really old-fashioned Schlager. What Denmark brought last year, Fy and Flamme. Uh,
Oh, really?
yeah, you remember that song? There was a Schlager song from like the 80s or maybe early 90s to us, and old people really liked it. Old Eurovision fans in Sweden loved it. It was their
I
favorite
love
song.
it too.
Yeah, I really liked it too. And but younger people didn't understand it. And I heard Clara Hammarström herself reviewing it in one of the podcasts, and the other Eurovision fans that were in the podcast said that, oh, we love it. Oh, it's so great. And she was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand anything of this. Why do you like this? I'm sorry. I can't say I like it. It's just 2 points for me or something like that. So it's typical for what younger people would say. They don't understand it because they don't have the references. And if you bring a really old-fashioned Schlager song to Eurovision, it will just uh, fall behind, I think.
I think it would do well, especially in the televote. I think the judges would kill it because I think that like they would just not understand it, especially if the judges are outside of the Nordic countries. Probably the judges from Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, they would vote for it, but the other judges would kill it with fire. But I think that and it like we can say that Denmark, it was not a complete flop. It did well in the televote. It did not qualify thanks to the judges, and the judges actually replaced Denmark with Albania.
Hmm.
Okay, so I do believe, in my opinion, that there is a group of people in Europe, like there are small pieces of these people in different countries. They're just waiting to see a big Schlager number when they turn their TV on and watch Eurovision, because that's that's tradition actually. That's what they use it to see in Eurovision. Like back then, like when Linda Benting performed, I there was a couple of friends of mine and said, "Oh, that song is actually very bad. Like it's very ew." I said, I like it, and it's one of those songs that could be an Eurovision winner during the 2000s. So it's something that, as you said, that things are changing, but there's some stuff that are so classic that they can become fashionable again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's I was looking for the word cyclical. It's there could be cycles when it comes to this. It just doesn't. There is a point where it doesn't come across as old-fashioned anymore. If you repackage it, it comes across as new and fresh, and that day will probably come. Yeah, fingers crossed we get to see it.
With
But
Peregrino Green.
yeah, when it comes to Denmark, I would also add that they were last in the running order, I think, which is probably good for
Hmm.
the televote. So
Hmm.
that might have helped them too. But yeah, I hope that there were a lot of people who loved it. Certainly in the Nordic countries, there were.
I did like it very much. I still listen to it. I think it's the best Danish entry in ages. I really
Yeah,
like it. I really like it. But
yeah.
probably I'm used to this kind of music. Like I've been in Eurovision fan since 2006, so it's long time ago. So
Mhm.
let me ask you something about the position of Sweden. Sweden is going to perform in the second half of the second semifinal. Do you feel comfortable in this position? Do you think that there's a certain song that would be better for this context, or there's another song that would be better for this context? How do you feel about the draw of Sweden for Eurovision 2022?
Yeah. Traditionally, we've said that well, as fans, we like to look at the details here, but for Sweden, we want to win, and if we're gonna win, it doesn't matter if we're the first half or the second half or whatever. But now the times are changing, and maybe Italy has the leading role of Eurovision, and Sweden doesn't anymore. So maybe we will have to focus on first making it to the final, and then it's obviously good to be in the second half of a semifinal. I'm happy that we're in the second half. Apart from that, it's mainly logistical for the people going to Eurovision to be there. If you're in the second semifinal, in the second half of the second semifinal, then you go there a little bit later, like 2 days later or something, to start the rehearsals, which means that you have to pay for less hotel nights, less sleepovers for the delegation, and less time to stay on location for the contestant, which is maybe a little bit less exhausting. Um, but on the other hand, which is a big minus, the contestant, if they go to the final, they will perform on the night and go to the final. Enjoy that they went to the final, go to the press conference, and then the next day they need to go to the dress.
Rehearsal.
Yeah, they have no time to rest, and it's a challenge for them to keep the energy up because already the next day they had the jury final and they have to be on top again. So that's a challenge for the entries that makes it through from the second semifinal. But we were also talking about Melodifestivalen heats, and if it's good to qualify to the final from the last heats. And with that logic, it would be good to qualify from the second semifinal in Eurovision rather than the first semifinal. Then you have the momentum into the final that people just saw you, they picked you up as a favorite, and then they could keep you as a favorite in the final rather than something that they had as a favorite in the beginning of the week. So I think that's good. So I don't have any substantial evidence for this, but I have a general impression that it would be good to come from the second semifinal in Eurovision. So yeah,
Comfortable
now
position.
that you say it, I'm happy with the draw.
Good. So there's some comment here from Mali. Guys, please, if you are watching this show, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's very important for us. And click on the bell too, okay? I never ask people to click on the bell, but it's important to click on the bell. So please do it. I love your interpretations. It makes all songs sound more empowering, and it is so interesting on human psychology level indeed. Don't think everyone will do the same deep thinking, but we'll see. Good, good. Thank you, Mile. Thank you. That's comment, right? It's more of a matter of feeling and emotion, I guess, and that's hard to predict. Indeed, I do think that people are going to feel it and then vote. They are not going to overanalyze it.
Yeah.
Uh, if Sweden send others, it will be difficult to qualify, but let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna see my point of view of the current situation, and I do believe that if either Anders or Cornelia wins, I think it's going to be positive for Melodifestivalen in a way that it's going to attract bigger names. That's my point of view because Anders is a big name, right? He's quite famous, and Cornelia, she has this artistic thing, and many people are going to appreciate the fact that she won Melody Festival, not just because the song is very artistic, but because she's a woman, and it's going to attract different kinds of artists too. But what do you think is going to come next when it comes to Melody Festival? Like, what do you can you kind of predict some change, some music style that's going to come back, or some music style that is going to leave the competition forever? Like, what can we expect from Melody Festival in 2023? Like, that's a very difficult question,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, it certainly calls for speculation. But it's interesting. Something that we could notice that we had the big revival of ABBA, the Swedish group ABBA. They released a new album and they are starting a resident show in London. So maybe we will have some more music influenced by ABBA next year because we didn't have it this year because the songs that we see this year were written prior to September or in
Indeed.
early September. So they haven't had a chance to pick up any influences on the new ABBA songs or the ABBA hype. But I'm not sure. Maybe this will be water under the bridge when the next year arrives. But maybe we'll have something like that. Something that will maybe die down a little bit. That would be the classic ballad, like we saw Shirley Clamp. I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think we will have that type of ballad. We had Natalie Brydolf last year, and Shirley Clamp is one of the Schlager divas from um, 15 years ago.
Love Shirley Clamp.
Yeah,
Love.
and but what we saw there was that this song did terrible in the streaming because in the streaming charts, the Melodifestivalen songs have been more successful than ever in Spotify, which is very important to SVT. But the only one that didn't do well is Shirley Clamp. We see that literally, maybe Tribe Friday also did poorly, but when the songs were released, Shirley Clamp fell down immediately and didn't make it to top 50.
Mhm.
But all the songs that were released entered the top 50 chart in Sweden. even though they finished last in their heats. They went top 50 in Sweden straight after the show. And I thought, that, is this just because Spotify are now featuring a big playlist of Melodifestivalen songs? But then Shirley would also make it. So it's not just there that they had a playlist that they had given a lot of exposure, because then all the songs would just enter, but Shirley Clamp didn't. So a Schlagerdiva with a classic ballad would probably be a no-no next year, I think.
Yeah, and actually, I think that this phenomenon of the flop of these classic ballads have been going from for a long time. Like she flopped in 2014 too
Mm.
with a classic ballad, "Burning Alive," which I believe it's amazing,
Mm.
but it was just not very competitive. And I saw quite a lot of ballads indeed just vanishing in the
Mm.
voting. It's just, well, maybe it's not working anymore for them.
Yeah, I think you need to do something more. You have to tweak it a little bit. A lot of people says that this classical ballad, people shouldn't be writing that anymore. But then you see that suddenly there is a classical ballad that makes it good, which is successful again. But yeah, uh, for like if you're gonna bring it down a little bit, you should do it like Cornelia Jacobs, or maybe, or something like that.
Mm,
That's because
it's a
the
bit modern.
yeah, it's more modern. Still, it's a ballad temperament, but it's not the classic ballad.
Mhm, mm. Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Gustav. I think we are quite done here. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It's always nice to talk to you. There's like my memories go back to 2006 and then come back to 2022. It's so good to talk about Melody Festival.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly is. It was my pleasure to join. It's 11:30 at night here, so I actually have started to get tired. I'm in the middle of the Melodifestivalen craze, I should mention that I was working on this project called Mellopedia, which
Oh
is
yes.
it was my work week was in January. Actually, it's an encyclopedia of Melodifestivalen knowledge. And you can find it at melopedia.svt.se. That's my main focus now. I'm doing other stuff too, like a little bit of script work for the shows and stuff like that. But mainly, I'm updating the Melopedia. So if you want to have a reference work of Melody Festival, and that's useful, you can go to the Melopedia website. It's in Swedish, but you can use Google Translate. Yeah, it was a pleasure to join.
It's in the description too, guys. Okay. So I wrote Melopedia because that's something that is working, but I did not put the link. But I'm gonna add it and put the link. So if you guys want to check Melopedia, go there because it's a very good work. Because for example, in 1975, no 1976, it's when Sweden did not take part, right? Or
Correct.
86. Yes.
76. It was three times. Let's see. It was in 64, 70, and 76.
Because they did not want to win and have they did not want to win and host again, so
Yeah,
that's why they did not take part. So guys,
in
really,
part.
yeah, there are a lot of nice details about the history of Melody Festivaling, and it's important to understand this competition because it's really influencing Eurovision and the other national selections too. It's a very, very great national selection, and we should always give a lot of respect to Sweden and Melody Festivaling because it's really supporting and helping Eurovision to become better and greater.
Yeah, we love Melody Festival and Eurovision a lot in Sweden, and we take it so seriously.
Indeed. Gustav, thank you very much. Thank you everybody who is watching the live chat. See you guys. Bye bye.
Muito obrigado.
Oh, muito obrigado. Bye bye.